Hello guys, Crispy here and welcome back to another video. With this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing Kingdom Come Deliverance, a really good title from 2018, story-driven RPG, open world, medieval, first person. It's amazing. I really love this game, okay? And it's only at €8.09 on Steam at the moment. I saw this promotion and I was like, well, I gotta test it in a few videos. Then I checked the minimum and recommended requirements and I got everything here. So this is perfect. Let's go over them, shall we? So for the minimum requirements, it asks for an Intel Core i5 2500K CPU at stock speeds. This is exactly what we're gonna run because this motherboard doesn't really support overclocking on the 2500K. 8GB of RAM, we got that in dual channel, and an Nvidia GeForce GTX 660 GPU or a Radeon HD7870. We got the 662GB model here from Gigabyte. It's overclocked out of the box as well. Now in the recommended side of things, it asks for an i7 3770, 16GB of RAM. We also got that in dual channel, and an Nvidia GeForce GTX 1060 or AMD Radeon RX 580. I got both of them. We're gonna test both of them here on the recommended requirements and see if there's a difference between Nvidia and AMD GPUs. And it also recommends an SSD both on the minimum and recommended system requirements. So that's what we're gonna run here today. So let's get into the minimum requirements gameplay now, shall we? Alright, there's Roach right there, right away. This is beautiful. Awesome game, I told you guys. Let's go over the settings. 1080p resolution using the low settings preset, but I had to disable the damn motion blur, which came on enabled by default, but everything else is set to low here. Let's see how it performs like this. Oh, I am overloaded, okay. Ugh, god damn it. How does the game know that I got fatter? Holy crap, that is a lot of stuff that I'm carrying. 5 minutes later. Yes, I made it. Prepare for the explosion of items. Oh, come on, I can't even move. Oh my god. Oh, look at that. Okay, so this is extremely CPU intensive, obviously. It's not exploding. Okay, some things are starting to drop. Yeah, we're bugging out everything. This is not supposed to happen, by the way. Holy crap. All right, so this is everything that I have stolen, guys. Wait, where the heck is my horse? He's stealing my stuff. I saw you. I saw you, you damn basic. God damn it. Okay, where's my horse? Where's my horse? Come on, Roach. Come over here, buddy. All right, we're good. So this area where we're at, it's actually pretty good for benchmarking because we're going to the castle. How the heck do I mount? Oh, it's X. Okay, I was just inspecting it with E. It's different for every game. Don't blame me. I play a lot of titles. Bushes. We got bushes here, which is pretty intensive. As you can see, it's dropping into the lower 30s at times. Outside of bushes, it can go up to like 40 sometimes. And we're gonna go to the castle area right there, which is more CPU intensive. You can see that it's also stuttering a bit, and you can see that the CPU utilization is going up to 100% when it stutters. So the CPU is struggling just a little bit here, but I think it's fine overall for a game like this. Single player title, you know, you don't really need a ton of FPS, and maybe 1080p is actually pretty playable here. Look at these environments, by the way. That looks absolutely awesome, doesn't it? I love this game. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And this is low settings as well. Wow. Okay, so it's definitely a drop. Oh my god. CPU needed to load some stuff there at the entrance. Now that it loaded it, it's fine, but that was a massive drop. And we saw like 28. Oh my god. Oh my god. Look at that. That guy has no head. Okay. Oh boy, the CPU is struggling so much. I did not think it would be this bad, honestly, guys. Maybe you gotta lock the FPS to 30 so the CPU doesn't reach 100%. So I'm using Rivet Tuner for that. Let's do 30 FPS maximum. And let's see if it still stutters like this. So now the GPU usage and the CPU usage shouldn't really reach 100%, at least most of the time. Oh boy, CPU still goes up there by a lot, but it's definitely feeling a little bit smoother. Maybe because we've already loaded this area? I don't know. Yeah, no, but not bad actually. This is playable. It's definitely minimum requirements playable in my opinion. 1080p, low settings, 30 FPS locked. Feels pretty good, not gonna lie, now that it isn't stuttering anymore. Oh, what the heck? There are some weird shadows going on right there. Look at that. That's super pixelated. Oh boy, inside it gets more GPU intensive. Look at that. It drops from 30 FPS. Ooh, 27 there. Maybe it's the ambient occlusion. Because it looks really good, doesn't it? Anyways, I want to steal this now.
Who are you?
All right, I'm just gonna go now. I'm nobody. I'm just gonna go grab my horse and get the heck out of here. I am too heavy again. All right, so let's go this way. We haven't really loaded this area yet. I think I would still drop the resolution to like 900p just so it is at 30 plus all of the time, or locked 30. But as you can see, it's performing pretty well now. No stuttering. We haven't been to this area yet, and it's loading it, and it's not performing badly. CPU usage is not going to 100% most of the time, at least. Even if it drops sometimes from 30 frames per second, I think it's a solid experience at 1080p, but I would prefer to drop it down to 900p. It's pretty nice, actually. Pretty nice. Roach! Oh boy. Oh, that was on purpose anyways. And now let's go over the recommended requirements in the desktop. We got the Core i7-3770K model right here instead of the normal 3770. The only difference is that the K model can be overclocked and the other one can't. And this one is actually 100 megahertz faster out of the box, which is pretty much the same thing, so no problems there. And for the settings, we're playing at 1080p native resolution, and we're using the low settings just to see how it compares to the minimum requirements, how much of a difference that makes. And as you can see, we can actually reach almost 100 frames per second now with the recommended requirements at the same settings. So we're actually getting what, like double the performance, probably, maybe slightly higher than double the performance compared to the minimum requirements. And now, at least so far, it is not stuttering whatsoever. GPU and never mind, I spoke too soon. God damn it. So it seems like the game stutters even with recommended requirements. Maybe it was just a one-off, but I really don't think so, guys. But now the real test comes. This is where the CPU will struggle the most, basically. And, ooh, 92% usage. Oh boy. Didn't stutter as much as the other one, for sure, but it can still be a little off-putting, for sure. And it still drops from 60 frames per second. Look at that. Here in this area, it gets really intensive. Oh my god, it's bad, guys. So we still need to lock the FPS here. Okay, I've loaded the game here again, and I locked the FPS to 60 now. Still dropping a little bit. It's not as consistent as the 30 FPS were with the i5 system, but let's see if it can actually handle it without stuttering this time around. Oh man, I can't wait to actually play it at higher settings, because it just looks amazing already on low, as I told you already. Let's keep on going here. So far so good. 60 FPS average there, flat. 1% lows are varying a little bit, but it's probably because of those little tiny frame time spikes, which aren't even noticeable, honestly. Seems like even with an i7 with 8 threads, you need to lock the FPS for it to be playable. Otherwise, it won't really be playable. I don't consider the previous experience playable here. All right, starting to stutter a little bit more, but it's okay. It's barely noticeable if you don't have the frame time graph enabled there. So yeah, I'll give it a pass here, okay? If you lock the FPS to 60, it's gonna be pretty damn smooth. No major stuttering issues anymore, but it still does drop from 60 though. I expected the i7 to get a little bit above 60 FPS all of the time, because my i7-4770 back in the days did, or the equivalent to that. It was a Xeon E3-1231V3. Well, it seems like the 3rd gen i7 can't really get 60 plus all of the time, which is still not that big of an issue, honestly. It still gets 60 plus on average, and that's what matters the most here in games like these. And even if it drops into the 50s, it's not game-breaking whatsoever. I could play this game all day long like this. Okay, so I just set the image quality to medium, which is pretty adequate for recommended requirements usually. These are the settings right here. Let's just disable that motion blur once again. We're back here with everything fully applied, looking fantastic still. I can definitely notice a difference in the textures especially. Yeah, guys, it looks amazing. I can notice that the anti-aliasing is now working, SMAA 1X. and it is looking really damn good. And now it should be a little bit smoother, especially if we manage to get 99% GPU usage all of the time, because if the GPU is maxed out, that means that the CPU isn't maxed out, and if the CPU isn't maxed out, we can have a smooth, stutter-free experience, as shown by the FPS log previously. So that's exactly what we're getting so far. Yeah, this is definitely the way to go. So medium settings, apparently, and probably high settings as well, perform better than low settings in this game because it starts stuttering on low settings because of the CPU bottleneck. Yeah, look at that. No problems here. It still got CPU bound there though, but it did not stutter as much as it did previously. And it is CPU bound here, by the way. Look at that, 80s and 60% GPU usage sometimes. Wow, 40-something FPS. That is interesting to see. There are some CPU-intensive settings buried in the settings menu, for sure. Because previously we were only dropping into the 50s and now it dropped into the 40s. Anyways, inside of here, we are fully GPU bound and it still drops from 60 slightly, sometimes. Okay. It's not the most stable thing in the world, honestly, guys. I would still lock the FPS here to like 45 probably at medium settings. Here we go, 1080p, high settings preset. Let's just disable that pesky little setting, which is always enabling itself when I change settings. Anyways, here we go. 99% GPU usage once again. No CPU bottleneck for the most part. Oh, looking in that direction, it actually gets CPU bound. Now we lost like 10 FPS compared to medium settings, and I feel like it is a little bit more inconsistent. Probably because we are close to 60 and dropping from it. That makes the frame time go a little bit crazier. But still, if I disabled it, I wouldn't really say it is stuttering, so that's not a big issue. It is not enough for 60 FPS even on average. We are running it with the FPS unlocked. I'll remember that. That dropped a lot there, but at least it didn't stutter. I think for high settings... Oh my god. Look at that. CPU usage went up to 100%. That's crazy. Yeah, on high settings, it would still be decent for a 30 FPS experience. Yeah, I just didn't really expect to lock the FPS with every single setting preset that we're testing here today. Honestly, guys. As you can see, not too bad. I'm just gonna lock it to 30 now to see how it feels. 30 FPS lock. Let's see if it drops or not. Instantly feels way sluggish here. Yeah, I don't like that too much. Stutters a little bit still. I'm not sure if I would play like this. Probably not. I would choose the medium settings at 1080p resolution native. That's the way to go here with the 1060 apparently. And this i7 CPU. Lock the FPS to like 45 or 60, whatever you prefer, at medium, and have fun like that. Because on high settings, it still drops slightly from 30 FPS at times. Still, if you're playing with a controller, you're less prone to noticing these stuttering issues or FPS drops from 30. And if it only drops to 29, I think it could still be a pretty decent experience, you know? So if you prefer that higher visual fidelity, go for it. It looks fantastic here on high settings, and it still plays pretty well. And if you have a higher end CPU, well, you can actually play it absolutely fine without stuttering on high with 1060. Finally, just to compare it a little bit with the GTX 1060, we got the RX 580. This is the 8GB model from XFX. You can see all of its specs here, once again in Tech Power Up's GPU Z, and we're still running the i7 3770K. Here we go again, Roach, one last ride. Still using the same settings, 1080p high, and it is kind of similar, maybe like a little bit slower actually. I don't think the 1060 dropped into the 40s around here. That's probably because these RX 500 series GPUs, at least compared to the GTX 10 series from Nvidia, don't work all that well under CPU bound scenarios. So there's a little bit of driver overhead there. And over here we dropped into like 31 with the 1060, it drops into like 27 with the 580. Overall, they might provide around the same experience, honestly, especially at medium settings. You don't really notice as much of a difference there, of course. But on high, the 1060 was a bit better in terms of stability for sure. Of course, we're not locking the FPS here with the 580. But yeah, at high settings, there is definitely a bit more of a CPU-bound scenario compared to the 1060 i7 combo. for sure. Like, it's a little bit rough here, honestly. Just gonna see it now with the 30 FPS lock. It gets rid of all of the stuttering issues, as you can see. Once again, same behavior as with the Nvidia GPUs that we tested so far, and hopefully it won't really drop all that much. Let's see it here. No, it still drops. Oh boy! Okay, that was unexpected. Roach, where the heck are you, buddy? There he is, or she, I'm not sure. Gonna go again. Yeah, it still drops to 27, so that is not gonna go away, those FPS drops, if you lock the frames. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit worse than the 1060s experience in Kingdom Come Deliverance, but it still provides a pretty playable one, especially if you play on medium settings. I would say that the minimum as well as the recommended requirements are pretty accurate in this game. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you enjoyed it, of course. And I'll catch you guys in the next one very soon, hopefully. As always, I love you all. Bye-bye.